What's up, guys? Mikey. I'm going to go over my HWH trade today. I had a phenomenal trade on it, and this one particular had a great daily. Remember, small caps, pennies, they dilute. So it's very important to try to identify which daily you're trading, what potential it has, and then go from there. I'll go over the daily really quick, and then I'll really kind of jump into the book, and then even talk about backside on this for someone that's in my room to kind of help them out with the book on that one. Okay, dailies. All right. Again, right, understanding that they dilute, right? So they create opportunities where they gap up, they sell off, and then they start cranking. Obviously, you can see that this definitely had some abnormal volume on the day, right? About 400 mil. All right, this particular daily, I did like it because it did have a mini gap to test, fill, and then see if we can really crank over this previous 70s area fail. This was definitely a big PT for me, 70 cents, and then after 70 cents, now I like to look for the daily 200 SMAs on a lot of these pennies to see if they can fill them, because essentially what this is doing is just now definitely a big supply area, but this is just putting another lower high in, and the big scheme of things, right? So that's key. I do like bottomed out penny dailies that have abnormal volume, and then when we look left, there's some type of area to fill, test, and maybe reclaim. I was kind of looking. I put out a couple of VWAPs on these days with decent volume. Um, Maybe in a hotter market, or if this thing did want to crank, I was particularly looking for these type of levels. But this was a phenomenal return, even the break of 70 right there for me. It did definitely had high conviction and soaked a lot of shares on that one. I was kind of also waiting for that low float, trying to rotating it to pennies, and hopefully we'll see some more penny names on there. I'll see if I can go on there. I did take a couple losses on Hollow and MLGL backside dailies, really after a bigger liquidity event, but that's okay. All right, chart wise, I'll kind of run down. So I essentially missed all of this, right? And got really interested when we started to pull back into here, and then I did miss this right here, and then added more into here, right? Um, for a couple of reasons. All right, pull up the book now. Um, One of the biggest things that actually stood out to me real quick before that was how much volume we had when we were just setting up with this setup right here. All right, that was super, super important to me, super key. Kind of widen this up a little bit. All right, this had a lot of volume, almost near 100 mil when this was cranking over here. So this was testing the gap right here. It's super early, an hour into open. Pull up the 5-2. We did have some after-hour pre-market sell-off action, so there was already volume that was built up from this daily leading into open. But once we started to crank right here, this is when I started to see the potential in this because of the volume, right? And then without even looking up at the chart, there's a lot of consistent volume in this as this was increasing. You can see it on the 5, right? We had a nice stair step down, consolidation, and volume divergent break, another stair step down, volume divergent break, and then this is where kind of backside starts to kick in on that one. So, you know, it's all about looking at your dailies and seeing how many you've seen in the past, how long you've been doing it for, and that's pretty much where the focus goes. So it's looking for the potential, looking for a fill, looking for a backside fill. Maybe sometimes these dailies maybe this action was right here and it starts to fill up more. We're looking for a bigger gap fill. It just depends, right? Big targets, gap fill. So, and then the volume. Volume has to stay steadily increasing. All right. I can definitely see how this messed up or could potentially mess up a lot of people who like momentum scalp just because of the drastic pop and drops. Pop and drops. You think it's going to break out, pulls back, and then finally it does start to actually make its move. Um, this particular area right here was a big area to hold. Um, when I utilize this book right here, I see that there's a huge big buyer stepping up here, removing this liquidity after this controlled walk down. Controlling it, they pull. That's great to see. Um, but someone over here finally came and took out this guy that was controlling it with 80K. A little bit more too, because if you're using the level 2, you'll be able to see that. All right. After that, it's very important to me that I see this area get defended, right? Get defended. Even there's a breakdown zone right here. So these pullbacks into these zones are great. All right. Again, looking for volume to build, looking for the book or tape not to get heavy, and look for continuation. All right. Even though this is a very sharp pullback, this level right here was important to build. So that was definitely key. Even these more drastic pullbacks, they're constantly pulling back to previous areas of interest. Even these sharp pullbacks, if you soak this and look for a gap fill versus trying to momo scalp it, the reward is a lot different, right? We're looking for this pullback and see what happens down here. You'll be able to zoom in too and see actually what happens, even though some offer control, again, offer control, buyer resteps up. This seller should have broke down right here, and it should have continued down, but there's appetite. Bidder steps up, appetite. Now there's less appetite on the sell side, and now we're seeing how bidders are constantly shoving this up, whether it's algo or not, MMs, anything like that. All right, this area, the retest even right here was great. This should have broken down. Even though there was some selling action going here with the previous area of interest, this again consolidated over the actual breakout area, right? There's a lot of empty space right here. All that liquid down there is trapped to me down here now, right? So this is the same type of pullback to me than these pullbacks right here. But this is just a little bit less like straight down. There's definitely some control, some bidders being pulled, sold into, and then rebidding, and you can see that there's strong market appetite down here. All right. My big PT was at 70 cents, so again, being loaded in at 46s, I get to see a lot of this price action and see the reaction of after it starts to fill. We're combining this now with daily. We're looking for that. This is what pretty much 70 cents to 72 cents was that breakout area. So the fact that this was not getting heavy after running into those levels was a good sign. And then even the reaction on this pullback to that pivot on the daily and seeing more bidders step up after some sellers came through and took out the bids. There were still more bids bidding this up. There's more appetite too. Some more buyers right there. Now, backside, backside, backside. As this is happening in live time, now we're starting to see more offer control happen on this one, right? Let me zoom out. There is a big shift in this book. There's a lot of offers being controlled. They pull them. Now they're shoving them to where price action starting to increase. This should have went, right? But offers, as soon as price action starts to come back down, offers are starting to get pulled. Now we're starting to look at backside. The reason why I say backside is because the stock filled a gap and made its move. Might be a little bit more visual right here for you guys. So anything that tries to rotate into any lower highs or even breaks like an obvious level, and this does not break out and continue, this right here is pretty much setting up a 1 minute flag. Tries, fails, closes, boom, dumps, retries again, but now we're failing on every rotation. So the fact that this had 4.5 mil, which to me is pretty significant considering that we were pumping 5, 6, 4, highs 5.7. That's a lot of volume with no follow through. right? And then on the book, you can see right here how this is working, right? You get to see that visualization of a lot of liquidity coming through on the buy side, a lot of either hidden sellers right here, right? No more real appetite. And then as soon as they try again, they're selling into the bids. This should go, right? You know, this right here was working when the stock wasn't gapped up so high in areas like down here, right? Same type of thing, but now you got to look at it in a different perspective. Now it's filled its gap. We're at the 200, so we already made an insane move, right? Adds for here, 46s to highs. It's damn near 100%, right? That's 91%, and we filled a big gap. So we're up 91%, and now that this is rotating, you know, we're trading a stock that's 50% level, 50, 84. You know, trading a stock that's already up 100 and something percent, you know. So as this is rotating, trying to rotate something like this that's already up 100%, there's just more for a small cap that can have a lot of potential, which does have a lot of potential in diluting. It can sell off. And, you know, now you're just, this is a really, well, you're exposing yourself to a lot more risk, right? And all these little micro swipes. If you see micro swipes and on these backside charts where you see a quick swipe, there's a little bit of volume and then no follow through, and they start to break down. So definitely see the shift, right? With backside starting to come in, you start to see, you know, the reaction of any type of bidder really not holding through. They pull this one. There's a small bid right here. It gets absorbed. There's definitely a lot more selling pressure too than there is buying pressure, right? And now you can really start to see it actually dilute, right? There's a lot of control with these offers. Control, 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 more control. You know, right here, as soon as things start to break down previous breakout areas where buyers were super aggressive, now you start to see that same thing. It's the book is it's flipping in the sense where liquidity is now targeting the bid side than it is on the offer side. The appetite shifted to aggressive buyers, so now we get aggressive sellers with offer control kind of shoving the price action down, right? So that definitely plays a big role. This is why this was my main trade today. I had a whole bunch of other books up. I took them all off. They were kind of little uh, money rotating other dailies. Some of them were just smaller size. I traded JG smaller size, but you know, this was my bread and butter, my main winner. I love trading pennies because they take more time to accumulate, and I'm looking for that increasing volume, increasing volume, increasing volume on the daily. Things might dump. Okay, cool. Is it steady increasing volume? Are we still seeing price action? Is still appetite of buyers on the book? How are we reacting to previous areas of interest? Even micro bids. Remember, this book, as we zoom in, there is bids on this. As long as we're seeing micro bids or spoof bids, this is pulled, another bid, you know, um, that's okay. To me, that's good. Been trading pennies now and using the book on them for well over a year on that. So the price action is definitely different than a low float, you know, 100% on that, right? These are cheaper names. They take more time to accumulate. Half the time they're bigger floats. But it's that steady increase in volume and looking for that gap fill on that one. Smash the thumbs up. I got a code in the description too for the book if you guys are interested. And this was the best play, right? I'm still looking to see if the cycle is going to continue, and I really would love for them to rotate in the pennies even more. And then the biggest thing is vision. Gotta have that vision. Gotta want to see that gap fill. You have to have been in other plays to see them fill. You have to have experience in other dailies to see them fill. So the more experience you get, the longer you can hold. I utilize the book to keep me in the game over and over and over again. I like this. I'm very of like a reaction trader now. You know, I get my shares, I accumulate, and then after it starts to break out, I kind of see how the reaction happens with the pullbacks. Strong stocks need to pull back, so when the pullback happens, are buyers there. How is the offer side? Is the offer staying heavy, or is it the same offers on the book that they had for a while, and you kind of see them putting new ones or moving them up, right? This has been there forever, right? Maybe this one gets pulled, they shove it down here, right? And then there's might be some micro new ones that come in. To me, it's just for control, nothing too crazy, right? And so on. But that's all I got, guys. Hope you guys had a good day. Scanner wise, really didn't. Okay, maybe we get a nice backside bounce for this one. Definitely got some action right here, but okay, right, that closed, but it this filled. This did make its backside bounce in after hours. Okay, maybe we'll get a little move out of this. I'll probably just do this recap in the morning with the guys in the room. But all right, much love. Peace out, Mikey.